Are these two really the same person? One is standing tall and proud, the other is small and injured. The psychological state of Griffith is reflected in his posture, as is the case with any human being. To see the change from this person to this, although both people are Griffith himself, they are different from one another, for one, in their physical presentation. Griffith always had a good, upright posture which indicated confidence and competence. At the first glance you gave respect to him, not even quite knowing why. The combination of his pretty facial features and physical expression made him a formidable opponent from the jump. Keep in mind that he grew up poor and could have turned out as any beggar on the street. However, Griffith's position as a leader doesn't allow him to slouch. He is gracious in outward appearance, which actually reflects a part of his personality. Griffith is not someone who is very vocal or energetic. His energy is quite stoic. Miura presents him initially in a mysterious light. We see this magnificent leader with knight-like qualities, although he merely is the head of a houseless mercenary band. His elegance and strength is furthermore expressed through his fighting style, as he uses a rather thin dussac and aims to disarm or kill his opponent as quickly and swiftly as possible. A fascinating sight is where Griffith steps on Guts' sword in their first fight and directly looks dominant in the eyes of the watcher, which is unusual. While it is true that Griffith wants to dominate and rule, he rarely ever shows it outwardly. He is more of a fox than a bull. In any other situation, Griffith would have long killed a bigger and stronger opponent, but Guts was unrelenting and started to fascinate Griffith to the point where he had to really impose his will over him so that Guts accepts to be under the command of the Band of the Hawk. Comparing his usual encounter with love interests, Griffith is especially gentle, kind and non-forcing. He offers a hand in need, like a true gentleman to a lady. As a whole, Griffith tries to uphold an image of calmness, integrity and strength. Griffith's malice and obsession is hardly ever noticeable. His eyes are the only indicator of more sinister being living inside. They get intense and piercing. Anyone who has stood as a hurdle on his path has felt Griffith's unnatural, innate gaze. As the proverb goes, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Again, when talking about Guts, he can get the worst out of Griffith, as well as the best, as any good and dear friend would. The most disturbing moment in the series for Griffith was the departure of Guts. Once again, his friend pulls out the deepest of darkness out of the White Hawk. Eyes become intense, fists and body are tense, and he transforms into a whole other being. Even Guts feels that Griffith is seriously ready for a death battle at that moment, while glancing at his face. Griffith's eyes offer a window to his deep-rooted habit of obsession, power, hungriness, and desire for domination. And that appearance of his body after the loss in the duel against Guts. When have we ever seen Griffith in such a weak position, on his knees, with a depressed and distant expression on his face? Guts calls it a stumbling from a rock on the road, but he doesn't quite grasp the emotion of Griffith. Truly, from this point on, we saw more and more weakness from the leader of the Band of the Hawk, to the point where he had to be reborn with the help of the God Hand. After going to Princess Charlotte, he is embracing himself like a lonely child, arms and legs crossed, as if closing himself off from the world and drowning in his depression. With Griffith's torturer throwing away the pellet in the dungeon's sewers, it symbolically meant for him losing his dream, or even his dream being thrown away forever. As time passes and his body grows in injury, Griffith's light and magnificence die out. Now he lays on the ground of the darkest dungeon, exhausted and motionless. An unforgettable sight for his comrades, and an unforgivable one for Griffith, for no man wants to be seen in a state of such frailty, especially in front of his women. We talked about the upright position of the excellent knight back then, and now he merely clings onto Pippin as a small child that is not yet ready to walk. And as Griffith holds those flowers given to him by the countryside girls, it was a gesture as if towards an old and disabled war veteran, yet Griffith was in his 20s. His body, the treatment which he got from his loyal people, the help he had to receive from love interests, and his inability to express love and intimacy anymore. It all meant madness to Griffith. His old and healthy self in armor confronts him and points to their destiny, which is not yet buried in the ground. However, at one point, he falls into a shallow lake where he almost takes his own life. This mad little man, unable to lift his arm, can't even end his life. It's all truly a pathetic sight, but at least it was all in solitude. Yet after finding the behelit again, he straightens out his body in a posture of a religious ritual and reverence of the power of his destiny. Later the sight of guts calls upon repulsive unwont and a fierce, bothersome feeling towards him. Griffith was finally to separate himself from pitiful and empathetic eyes of his friends, yet they chased after him again. And then, during the eclipse, the White Hawk's face finally reappears in its former beauty and glory, even before the physical rebirth, in an expression of resolve and hope of redemption. And here ends the point where it is fair to analyze the body language of the human Griffith, because after that, the god form of his mostly displayed power and pride may be quite the natural innate form of Griffith, but the expression is not human anymore. There is no duality of darkness and light anymore.
Good Lord, deliver us from the bitter pangs of eternal death, from the gates of hell, from the powers of darkness, and from the illusions of Satan. Amen.